With the season approaching its halfway point, I figured it's time for us to review the current tier list we had for the best marches going into Season 2 Plus, and why not update them with the changes that have happened with the past patch? And in this video, I'll be sharing a few secret buffs that have occurred in the patch from what I've noticed myself in battle reports. What is up guys, MEOWER here back with a brand new Call of Dragons video. You know I love my meta videos and reviewing the best marches and how they perform and how they compare to my current tier list that I made at the start of the season. So I will be leaving a link that should be appearing on the pop-up screen on the top right showing the previous tier list that I made going into Season 2 Plus and what my predictions were that were going to be the best marches back then. So before we get started, be sure to drop a like, don't forget to subscribe, and let's review the best current marches that I have seen personally from watching so many reports and watching so many fights, the best performing marches for each troop type this patch so far. So, going in, we're going to be starting off with the mages. Of course, Lilia Velen has by far been performing one of the best performing marches in this patch in general because there has been a slight change from what I've noticed. I'm not sure if this is 100% accurate or not. However, I have noticed that you can see that rage generation in this patch has increased by a single turn, meaning most marches are now skill cycling one turn faster. So, if you haven't noticed, be sure to review your current reports compared to previous reports because I have noticed that, especially for mages, for cavalry, for archers, every single troop type is now skill cycling one turn faster. So, in turn, this lowers the reliance of mages on normal attacks, thus, in turn, kind of buffing them because the entire point of mages is to deal as much skill damage as possible. So yeah, I am not sure if many people have noticed this or not, but I have been noticing this as a common occurrence in so many reports while testing it with so many of my friends. Next up, we got ourselves a favorite troop type, the archers. Now, there has been a lot of complaints lately about how archers have been faring, especially Hoskinara and the counterattack build. Well, this has been quite the debate that I've been seeing, and I've been experiencing this personally. And I do think this has happened due to the changes to the rage generation in general. So, mages are now auto attacking less and skill cycling more. And you can't really counterattack on skill cycles. So, while yes, Syndra and Freygar are still the kings and queens of solo DPS, I think Hoskinara's value in general has slightly dropped in comparison to the previous patches, and I don't really know the reason why they've become so weak other than just off the top of my head, the way counterattack maybe could have changed. I am not 100% sure. However, a new superstar has appeared in the Archer Marches, which is Nico Kinara. Yes, the old previous March has come back to life, and the reason for that, well, Nico this patch has become slightly stronger, especially since both of them rely on skill cycling and have insane counterattack as well. So the buffs to rage generation has benefited them greatly. The ability to build a proper war pet that really spikes their value and everything has also benefited them greatly. So it's like the stars have aligned for Nico's return. Though this does not mean that Hoskinara is out of flavor, it's just that it's not as strong as it used to be, so we're gonna be putting Hosk in the replacement tier for now. However, again, that doesn't mean Hoskinara is by any means weak. It's still strong, but its effectiveness has sadly slightly dropped. I could be using them wrong. If I am wrong, uh, correct me in the comments down below. I miss my OP archers. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe you guys have better reports than I do. But please bring back the old Hoskinara. Next up, we got Infantry. So, with the introduction of Skogul Goresh, Infantry has become rather strong, especially with the introduction of this artifact, which is insanely broken. I think this definitely needs a nerf. This artifact is beyond overtuned and beyond broken. It just gives Infantry everything they need and more. Just overall, a big stat stick that gives them a lot of rage, taunting them, so making people actually attack infantry, and so much more. So definitely think this artifact especially has made infantry quite strong in the current meta. So where does Koresh and Skogul stand? So, we all know the biggest mommies of all mommies, Mommy Madeline, will always be in the meta. However, Garwood might have fallen out in flavor with Goresh now. So, hear me out. Madeline Goresh has become quite a strong March in general, especially when you have your Goresh at 5551. So you get attacked quite a lot. You skill cycle quite a lot now with the rage generation buffs, and infantry already rage cycle like crazy. So you're getting so much more value from Madeline's shield. You're keeping up the attack. You're keeping up every single stat stick that this March provides, and you're just dealing so much skill damage and so much counterattack damage in general as well. So I did mention before that Madeline Garwood could be stronger, but however, after seeing both marchers in action, I am starting to lean towards more Madeline Goresh. So there we have it, folks. Goresh is now in the meta. Garwood might have finally started to fall off. Still, he's still very strong, and so is Skogul. But the thing is, when it comes to Skogul compared to Madeline, I'm sorry, Skogul, you do have thick thighs, but Madeline is always in my heart. Riding into the field, we got ourselves the Cavalry commanders. So in this patch, I've noticed something. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that Bakshi Emrys is now back in the meta as the strongest cavalry march. Whenever I see this march, I just get instantly deleted for no reason at all. I feel like this march has gotten quite a lot stronger, especially with the changes to the rate generation, meaning that not only do they cycle faster now, since they already cycle above average, they cycle even more faster. So they're constantly hitting the rage cap for rage generation in general, making them probably right now the strongest cavalry open field march, dethroning even Ferrando Emrys. And the reason for that is just they do too much damage now, and they're still very tanky from Bakshi's stats. So Ferrando might have been dethroned, and Theodore this patch is not really doing the best. While he is very strong if he touches your marches, he's just not packing enough oomph to justify using him over our good and reliable Bakshi Emrys. Finally, we got ourselves a flying marches. I think the current best flying march is still Ferrando Thea. Thea is still as strong as ever. Ferrando still strong as ever. So with them being able to make cavalry more viable in the open field, they run around like crazy. They deal tons of damage and are extremely tanky. So in my opinion, right now, Ferrando Thea is the best flying march. Whenever I see that march, my archers just cry, and I just have no counterplay against them, especially because I am a Archer main in the beginning of the end. So seeing that march, it's just pure devastation for me. Whenever I see it, it deletes mages, it deletes archers, but it cannot go toe to toe against infantry. So this is probably the best flying march, though Thea Atheist is still viable, and with the introduction and the announcement of a flying mage coming soon, I would assume that that flying mage paired with Thea will probably be the best flying march right now. But as of now, Atheist has kind of fallen off. He doesn't do enough damage to justify using him anymore, even though he is quite the rage engine. But still, he's not really that worthwhile. And of course, Thea still works with archers. If you still want to run the three prime trio of archer marches, it's still perfectly viable and it still works wonderfully. It just right now not performing as the best as it used to, but maybe with some tweaking of war pets here and there, we can get that march back up to speed. But still, still viable. So everything. And now you might be asking me, but Meower, are epic commanders not useful anymore? No, they're actually still pretty good, especially Waldir. He's always as good as ever. Guanwin did receive a buff, but she's still as useless as ever. Bakar is useless as ever. Atheist is still a viable pick. In general, Alwyn is still viable as well. And Indus has been crawling her way up now with people starting to max her and awaken her, she's become pretty strong, especially in a good supporting mage march with her awakened skill applying infirm as much as she does now with the rage generation buffs in general for commanders, making the downtime for infirm 1 second lower and having it up 1 second faster, shedding off 2 turns that you would normally not have infirm apply on. So she's become rather strong lately in general, and I do see her quite often. She's incredibly tanky, she's incredibly versatile, and she does allow some marches to function much better than they normally would. So, on that note, Alistar, never use him. Keep him in the trash can. So is Bakar, Eliana, Guanwin. Craig could be usable in a flying march just because, Fregar belongs with Syndrome. Now, Fregar Thea is a somewhat decent march, but, you know, Fregar Craig is still much better. Nika, she belongs in the trash can, and so does Pan. I don't know why this photo is there, but, whatever. Anyway, this has been my current tier list for the best marches in the open field combat right now for season 2. Plus, well, if you agree or disagree, do let me know in the comments down below or join my Discord, tag me, let's have a discussion on it. But on that note, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video and I hope you learned a thing or two. If you did, be sure to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe, join the Discord. The link is in the description, and I will see you in the next video.